2 conferences, 16 teams, well technically 20 if you count the beginning of the play-in, and 16 wins in the playoffs to determine one ultimate champion. It's one of the greatest feats in all of sports to be able to lift up the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June, showing that you've topped the basketball world and cemented yourself in history among the greats. We've seen dominant dynasties, sleeper Cinderella runs, and historic performances from some of the all-time greats to reach towards the promised land, with all teams but one coming up short of the end goal. In the past 7 NBA seasons, we've seen 7 different NBA champions as the league is reaching a new height of parity, with so many great teams having the opportunity to win it all, and this season could very well follow it up with the 8. Factoring in matchups, context, fired coaches, star power, and a little bit of educated guessing along with the occasional coin flip, I've narrowed it down to finally figuring out who will win the NBA Finals this season. Well, kinda. Hello everyone, I'm Mason, and let's take a dive into who I think will win the NBA Finals this season. I will go ahead and give a disclaimer, these are all my personal picks. If you don't agree, that's perfectly fine because I'm not going to be 100% correct. Don't kill me for my picks. I just wanted to do this for fun, and again, just because I pick a team does not mean that the other team sucks. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a new video. Now, starting off early with the first round matchups, the Thunder versus the Grizzlies. Now, personally in this series, I have the Thunder winning it in 5 games. I do think there will be a game that either Ja Morant or Jaren Jackson will have an incredible game to kind of lead the Grizzlies to victory, but I do think that defensively the Thunder have so much to kind of throw off Desmond Bane and Ja Morant both. In the 2 games against the Thunder this season that Ja played, he averaged 20 points, 6 assists on 4 rebounds on 34% from the field, which is really bad for a guy like him. So I would just imagine that the Thunder will kind of be able to take that to their advantage. Not too much reading into that one. Obviously, the Grizzlies are such a fun team. I just don't think with the recently fired Taylor Jenkins, I just don't think they'll be able to go into that series and walk out against the powerhouse OKC. Next up matchup, we have the Nuggets and the Clippers. This is one of the ones I would say I'm most excited for out of the entire playoffs, because you have the Nuggets, who have the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, recently just fired Mike Malone, their head coach. The Clippers have been on fire. Since March 5th, they have been 18-3, the best offense in the league and the 4th defense in that time span. And I just think that the Clippers do match up very well against this team. Zubac has been defensively pretty solid against a guy like Jokic, doing an okay job at slowing him down. Jamal Murray is going to see a lot of bodies thrown at him when you have a guy like Chris Dunn or a Derek Jones Jr. Kawhi will have possessions guarding Jamal Murray, even guarding Jokic at times as well. I really like what I see from the Clippers in this matchup. The only question mark is going to be how well will the Nuggets be able to play as a unit with their recently fired Mike Malone. I'm going to say I'm taking the Clippers in 7 in this series. However, if the Nuggets win, that is not a surprise to me. I just think this is going to be a series that goes all the way down to the wire last game. I'm really looking forward to the series. This is probably the one to watch first round, the best series to watch. Another one in contention for best series to watch is going to be the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. The dynamics of these two teams are very opposite. You have the Lakers, who have 3 guys that are very good at handling the ball in Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, and in this matchup, their biggest problem is the center position. Well, the Wolves have Rudy Gobert, who is obviously very great defensively, but offensively, he's not really going to provide much. So in the one position that the Lakers struggle in, they'll be able to go small and kind of match up well against the Timberwolves in that sense, and they may even be able to have to force Rudy to sit some time on the bench if he's getting played off the floor defensively. I do think this series is going to be very competitive. Again, Anthony Edwards has been amazing. We're going to have to see what the Lakers try to do. JJ Redick making some adjustments there. I imagine he'll probably throw to Anthony Edwards a lot of times to try to get him to give up the ball, forcing guys like Julius Randle to make those kind of playmaking decisions in which he can be very turnover heavy at times. I'm going to take the Lakers in 6 in this series. I'm going to trust with my gut. However, the Timberwolves have had a very great turnaround after their really questionable start. They've kind of figured some things out, having Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards playing next to each other. They can sneak a couple games, and Anthony Edwards will be one of the best players in this series easily. I'm going to take the Lakers in 6. For the last matchup of the first round, we have the Rockets Rockets versus the Warriors. This one's going to be a lot of fun. High intensity Draymond punching Dylan Brooks in the mouth. I imagine we're probably going to see that 3 or 4 times in this series. My only issue with the Houston Rockets, a team that has been so exciting, so phenomenal on that defensive side of the ball this season, is in a clutch situation, they don't have an exact go-to guy that they can give the ball to, that they can say, hey, we need you, go win this game. They don't really have a guy like that, and it's unfortunate for them. The Warriors will have the 2 best players on the floor in this series in Steph and Jimmy Butler, and unfortunately for the Rockets, I think that's going to come back to haunt them. I'm going to take the Warriors in 6. I do really like the Rockets defensively. Amen Thompson is going to have Steph Curry probably in hell a decent amount of time. It's just going to be very hard for the Rockets to find an answer offensively. Three-point shooting has not been one of their successes, but if they can get things going in the paint, getting to the basket, depending on the defense of a guy like Quentin Post, if you can drag Draymond out of the paint, you might be able to open up some things there. I do rock with the experience, and this Warriors team has been very good since they traded for Jimmy Butler. I'm taking the Warriors in 6. And now moving on to the Eastern Conference, Cavs and Heat. I'm going to be honest, this one, there's not much to talk about. The Cavaliers have been dominant both ends of the floor all season. I'm going to be honest, I think this is a sweep. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cavs in a sweep against the Miami Heat. I just think the Cavs bring so much on the offensive side of the ball for the Heat to really compete with. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland both are able to really get their stuff off on anyone guarding them. Next up, Pacers Bucks. So as I'm currently recording, the Pacers are up by 20 with about 8 minutes left in the game. What we really saw in this first game with no Dame, Giannis was out there by himself. Bobby Portis post-ups can be good at times, but they're not a super effective way of the Bucks generating offense, and they have no answer for the three-point shooting powerhouse in the Pacers. They're such a good team at generating looks. They play so selfless. Halliburton can drive, put some pressure on the rim. He's so good at finding those shooters, and the Bucks were so slow to close out. If Damian Lillard is back for game 2 and really playable and healthy in that, I could see the Bucks finding a way to win this series, but because the Pacers just have so many options on the offensive end, defensively, they're throwing just so many bodies at Giannis and just saying, hey, everyone else, you can beat us. I'm taking the Pacers in 6 in this series. The Bucks have been phenomenal, especially to close out the season without Dame. It's just so hard when you have nobody else, so it's going to take a very good job from Giannis to win this series, or if Dame comes back, they're both going to have to go crazy, and especially on the defensive side, they're going to have to get a lot going. Next up, we have the Knicks and the Pistons. I think the Knicks are a little bit of favorites. The Pistons obviously don't have that playoff experience as a team. Last year, they were god awful, and this year, they have been one of the most impressive teams. I really like what the Knicks have offensively in this series, and we're going to have to see what the dynamic looks like if you bring Cat out on a pick and pop, what the defense is going to do to react to that with a guy like Jalen Duren, who's not the best defensively, or if you have even Isaiah Stewart, you might be able to start sending OG to the rim where he is very lethal in that dunker spot. I imagine we're going to see a Cade Cunningham series similar to Paolo last season against the Cavs. He had a pretty good series, but the turnovers were heavy. As we've seen, Cade has been prone to a lot of turnovers so far in his career. I think we're going to see that again because he's probably going to see a lot of double coverage, and especially with great defenders like OG and Mikal Bridges, I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I'm taking the Knicks, but I think this series is going to 7. Lastly, in the first round, we got Boston, Orlando. This is going to be kind of a fun series. Obviously, Boston's heavily favored, the defending champions. The Magic have been struggling with the three-point shooting this season. I think they'll find a way to sneak a game in here and there. Overall, I'm taking Boston in 5. Paolo's going to have a very great game for like 40, 45 points. So again, we're taking Boston in 5 to close out the first round. On to the second round matchups. First off, we have the Thunder and the Clippers. Very fun matchup here. We have the Clippers, who are going to be very tough defensively, throwing so many bodies at Shea. The only thing is, in this series, the Thunder do have the best player in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Kawhi, depending on as long as he's there, I think the Clippers will put up a good fight. I think with the defensive versatility that can be thrown at guys like Harden, Norman Powell, they'll be able to really shut them down. Obviously, a guy like Harden in the playoffs, he can be very up and down, and I think as long as you're putting a guy like Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, and the likes of that, it'll be really hard for Harden and Norman Powell to get going. So I'm going to take the Thunder in 6 just because of their ability to shut down some of the guys who will be giving buckets for the Clippers. I do think Kawhi will likely have a pretty good series just because of his size and strength. For the second matchup, we have the Lakers and Warriors. The Lakers, going into this series, I do think that the Lakers still have the best player on the floor in Luka Doncic, and they still have LeBron, who, when it comes to playoff time, you never know what in the world he's going to pull out next. The LeBron versus Steph Curry has been such a fun thing to really keep up with over the past several seasons, dating back almost a decade now. I would really be excited to get that matchup again this year. What really works nicely for the Lakers is, again, this is a series they can kind of go small. Quentin Post is a guy that really thrives out on the perimeter, so the Lakers might be able to play small, put a guy like Vando or Rui out there to guard someone else, so that way they can just kind of leave whoever they have as their worst defender, whether it's Luka or whoever, just out on the perimeter guarding Post. It's going to be very hard to take down Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry in a playoff series, as they are both guys that can take over the game at any given moment. I think the part that really is going to hurt the Warriors in this series is they don't have a third guy that can really consistently generate looks. They don't have an Austin Reeves like the Lakers do, and unfortunately for the Warriors, if Jimmy Butler and Steph are either not on the court or not on their best game, you're trying to rely on someone who could be a little inconsistent, such as Podziemski, who was really rough the first part of the season, or even a guy like Moses Moody or Jonathan Kuminga, depending on whether or not they are having a great game. I really love this Warriors team. I really enjoy watching them, and it's just so unfortunate to have to try to pick in a series like this, but I'm going to take the Lakers in 7, go with my gut. Over to the East for the second round, Cavs and Pacers. Now, the biggest part of this series is how fast-paced this Pacers team can be, and they can be great at finding outside looks, and the Cavs, having Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, can be a little suspect guarding the perimeter. I do believe Indiana will be able to thrive and put some buckets out on the perimeter. Cleveland will be very hard to stop with the jump of Evan Mobley. Being able to attack the basket at will is going to be hard for the Pacers to find a matchup for him and Jarrett Allen. I do believe that Donovan Mitchell will have an incredible series against the Pacers. I'm taking the Cavs in 6 in this matchup. Now, lastly, for the second round, we have the Knicks and the Celtics. This one was hard for me. I love that Knicks team with Jalen Brunson out there. He's going to go off in the playoffs. He's such a great playoff performer. You have Cat, who can also do that. I just hope Cat's defense really steps up in the playoffs. It's hard to pick the Knicks, though, with how much they've struggled against some of those top teams in the NBA this season, such as the Thunder, the Cavs, the Celtics. It's been really hard for them to keep up with those teams. Defensively, they are so questionable. Boston has the versatility in this matchup to do anything they want. The Knicks have two guys that aren't exactly great defenders in Cat and Jalen Brunson, who's not a great defender, versus everyone on the court for Boston is going to be able to lock in on that side of the ball. I do think the Knicks will take a game or two, whether it's a Brunson or Cat masterclass, or Boston just shoots horribly from 3. I'm taking the Celtics in 6 and going to the conference finals. First off, Thunder Lakers, Luka versus Shea 2.0. We got LeBron out there, we got J-Dub, Chet. It's going to be such a good, fun matchup. But again, the Lakers really lack a big man. And if they're playing out there with Jackson Hayes, I think Hartenstein and or Chet will be able to thrive in this series. Shea is always going to get his. And I think after last year with J-Dub's poor playoff performance, he's going to turn it up a little more. The shot creation is going to be a little better. And with the defensive versatility, the bodies to throw at Luka, I do like Dort on Luka. And last year in the playoffs, Luka had a couple of really bad games in that series, even though he also had a couple good ones. I think as long as he's thrown off, and as long as the Thunder can figure out something to do about LeBron, he's their biggest question mark when it comes to guarding someone on that team. I think the Thunder take this in 7. I'm a Thunder fan personally. I really do like this Lakers team. I love Luka. I just don't know what his defense, for one, will look like in the playoffs. Luka's defense is always a question mark, but I do believe some of the role players are going to be the biggest help in this series. The Thunder, when they got beat by the Lakers when they played in one of their matchups, they just need to play guys like Luka or LeBron straight up. You stand a better chance playing him straight up and forcing him to take a tough shot rather than leaving that good shooter wide open in the corner. We saw it last year with PJ Washington in that Mavs series. He shot the lights out because they kept bringing Shea off of him to help. help. And when he's getting that wide open of looks and it's constant, he's going to start having an open shoot around and shooting 50% for three. I think if the Thunder can do that, if Coach Mark Daigneault can make those adjustments correctly, the Thunder will take this series in 7. And for the East, we have Boston and Cleveland. It is going to be very tough. I really like the Cleveland team. I love how deep their roster is with Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, who can come in off the bench and just give you that spark, instant shot creation and scoring. They don't have an answer for a guy like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum when they want to hunt that mismatch. Boston is known for being in love with hunting those mismatches. Boston gets out there, Jason Tatum, high pick and roll. They're going to get Garland on him. They're going to get Donovan Mitchell on him. And you're going to have to try to get a stop on a guy that's 6-7 inches taller than you. And it's going to be really hard. I'm taking Boston in this series in 7. It's going to be one of the best series in the entire playoffs. Shout out to the Cavs for the amazing season that they're having. Kenny Atkinson, great job coaching, bringing this team together. Evan Mobley's jump has been incredible. I just think that Boston, with that bit of playoff experience, has an edge as well. Overall, Boston in 7 in this series. Moving on to the NBA Finals. I have OKC versus Boston. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who as of right now is leading in the voting for MVP. All the votes are not in yet, as we know, but he has been having one of the greatest seasons that we've ever seen, and it's going to be tough for the Thunder against a team like Boston. But as we saw in the 2 times they played them this season, they have had a very good way of forcing them out of the paint to get them to shoot threes, in which they have some of the best guys at contesting those shots, such as Lou Dort, a guy like J-Dub with a long wingspan. Even Shai or Cason Wallace is very good at contesting jump shots. And when you're forcing Boston into bad looks, we've seen that they will go on a very cold streak. I think this is going to be such a fun NBA Finals if this is the matchup that we get. A guy like Jason Tatum, if he can abuse his strength to get to the rim, you might be able to possibly get him to go off and have a couple good games. However, he also could fall in love with that three-point shot, as we've seen a lot of times in his career. With Jason Tatum, he's always such a fun player when it comes to his shot creation ability. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be close. Thunder in 7. Thunder in 7. I had to say it. Again, this is my personal predictions. I have the Thunder winning it all. They won 68 games this season, with some of their top guys, except for Shai, missing 20, 30, 40 games. Like Hartenstein missed 25 games this season. Chet Holmgren missed 50 games this season. J-Dub missed 13 games this season. You think if they had all of these guys healthy, they could have been a 70 to 72 win team, which is just incredible. I really love the dynamic of this Thunder team. I'm serious when I say that I did take my bias out of this of being a Thunder fan. Like I said, I just think they have what it takes. Again, these predictions are not going to be 100% accurate. Who knows? The Pacers could take out the Cavs in the second round and go on another conference finals run, or the Rockets could go on a conference finals run, or they could take out the Warriors. You never know what's going to happen. That's why predictions are fun. Overall, the NBA playoffs is right here. It is now, and I'm so excited that we're able to see so many great matchups, and I think this year's playoffs is going to be even better than some of the previous seasons, and I think there's a good handful of teams that could take home that NBA Finals trophy in June. Who do you have winning the NBA Finals this year? Please let me know in the comments below. Who do you have? How many games against who and why? Thank you all for watching today's video. It really does mean a lot to me, and I cannot wait to see you next time, and hopefully by then my predictions are still right. So as always, I'll see you next time, cuh.